It was meant to constitute little more than another pedestrian pit stop on the never-ending industrial complex tour powering their multi-million-dollar humanitarianism enterprise. Just the sort of philanthropic photo-op where Harry and Meghan could breezily grace an Entertainment Industry Guild self-congratulatory awards soiree with their requisite aura of deracinated regal magnanimity. Maybe toss off a few bromidic pleasantries about celebrating our shared human dignity that get dutifully circulated on cable news feeds and lifestyle verticals with minimal editorial scrutiny. Then slickly segue into whatever their latest docuseries brand extension, lifestyle blog, or podcast merchandising play happens, demanding that specific glamourati market saturation. A reliable formula the once and future Duke and Duchess of Sussex had refined to a vaudevillian science over recent years. With an ever-refining proficiency for exploiting any limelight put before them, no matter how solemn or sacred, to regurgitate bite-sized nuggets of their quintessential message. That being how Meghan's tragic renunciation of a thoroughly sheltered aristocratic birthright obligated the great proletariat unwashed to bankroll her opulent self-actualization journey ad infinitum through endlessly renewed content monetization. But even amidst that perpetual tempest of rictus-grinned corporate cross-promotion in the name of enlightened vulnerability, the couple's LA PR team still expected this event to function as a mere cost-of-doing business formality. Just one of those interminably perfunctory Tinseltown mitzvahs where the Windsors could breezily parachute in, absolve themselves of any conceivable substance through bromidic niceties, then hot bundle right back off into their waiting PV7 electric behemoth before rotor washing to the evening's next six-figure appearance fee commitment. Another exercise of cynical mercantile industrialization tarred up as raising consciousness, destined to pass without incident or public spectacle. At least until the Montecito royals learned that their very appearance was actually intended to memorialize and celebrate the life's work of late comic legend Rob Barrow, a beloved American cultural fixture as revered for his tireless advocacy endeavors as for making generations of viewers double over in hysterics. At which point Harry and Meghan reacted with such catastrophic indifference that even their most fervently loyal courtiers recoiled in sheer horror. Paying tribute to some provincial comedy club performer we've obviously never even heard of before? Preposterous, multiple insiders recount the former Prince William standoffishly scoffing upon discovering the evening's thematic pretense. Why on earth would we endorse or legitimate this nobody's entire shtick just because the poor man passed away? Are the little people truly so starved for our enlightened magnanimity that taking a mere moment of silence for him would constitute the absolute zenith of his alleged importance? Meghan, meanwhile, appears to have been incensed into even ranker elitist contempt. From the outset brusquely rebuffing any suggestion she acknowledged the occasion's elegiac through-line beyond perhaps lightly commiserating that their hired servants likely enjoyed Barrow's japes when seeking momentary comedic refuge from grinding nepotistic labors. After all, by her own dominatrix-calibrated self-assessments, considering Barrow's life meriting her polished oratory would be tantamount to Marie Antoinette paying fealty to a provincial butter churner. And all available evidence indicates she repudiated even that minuscule concession with her signature cocktail of world-parting arrogance, white tears, and rhetorical appeals to ancestral deicide scars reputedly endowed by overseer rapists upon her holy womanity. It's already the very height of entitled settler colonial hubris to conscript our inspirational presence at their pedestrian entertainment gala, Markle relayed to handlers about entertaining any Barrow memorial responsibility, per multiple sourced accounts. Am I now also expected to pay sacred deepest respects to some musty minor talent as if a true artist on par with Basquiat or Octavia Butler? What's next? Must I solemnly recognize the transcendental humanity achieved by humble local meatpackers and subway custodians for this shiksa ethnic comedy industry cult to feel properly validated? Keep fantasizing, American wastrels. As history well documents, once that particular brand of Euro-feudal condescension gets imbibed, the deluge of outrage only ever spirals deeper into Bourbonesque self-satire. Multiple royal entourage members attested to witnessing Meghan escalate through increasingly unhinged tirades anathematizing any obligation to indulge these nouveau bourgeois minstrel factory demands, especially given how said muddled cultural literacy underpinned America's intrinsic, systemic racial oppression of enlightened progressive noblesse lineages like my own. Verbal detonations rupturing from the ex-princess's powdered gullet reportedly accelerated to breach birth volumes where even local law enforcement's Department of Sanitation hazmat crews were scrambled for potential noise pollution mitigation. Up until Markle allegedly vowed to spirit bomb the entire affair with icicle reproductions of Princess Diana's own feminine rage projectile effluvium transmissions unless allowed to absolve herself of this irreparably demeaning imposition that so profaned her whole antediluvial ancestral sovereign mythopoesis. She became so utterly consumed by her quintessential Meghan hubris trance that her every fourth word took on those possessed cadences where you feared some archonic principality had momentarily usurped her entire nervous system to berate all surrounding humans as worthless mayfly serfs, confided one visibly shaken attendant who demanded anonymity for safety concerns. Like full Faye Dunaway melt mode, only with prehensile slivers of tungsten fingernails shooting out in all directions as her intonations started phasing between our terrestrial audio bandwidths and some hellish howling abysses beyond which no unshielded spirit could bear direct exposure. Of course, whether through sheer delirious moral dissonance or as calculated personal brand strategy, Harry and Meghan ultimately did attempt salvaging their reputation by feigning the bare minimum gravitas once news of their petulance went scourge viral. Trotting out all the usual oxymoronic euphemisms about celebrating and honoring the lives of all people, while still stopping aggressively short of actually Leoneizing Barrow. The type of meaninglessly forced civility where they might have just as well hawked up a big greasy loogie onto Rob's framed headshot. But the rot had already set in terminal thanks to their display of cosmically inflated self-absorption defying any plausible containment. Which became mortally evident the moment they stepped on stage for their requisite pre-recorded remarks while thousands of audience members throbbed like seething back-chic revelers awaiting a glimpse beyond this world's veil. Because the very second Meghan opened her mouth to desecrate proceedings with faux grief-washed paeans to inclusivity and equity, an onrush of instantaneous metaphysical disgorgement erupted in full force. Row upon row of furious Rob Barrow acolytes suddenly vomiting up astral vortices of bilious mutational expulsions where a moment prior sat actual human beings. All while frothing screams of pure existential hatred for the unforgivably vacuous rictus grin now haunting their shared pantheon rent the air with atomic volume imprecations. Not just audience contingents either. Within moments, every single technician, usher, event volunteer, and snack runner had convulsed into a hellish miasmic portent where baleful incarnadine energies phased through Bosch-esque infinities of interdimensional psychic projections. Their very corporeal husks transmutating through infinite isometric tranavections as biomechanoid and clavic tendrilia erupted from every venting pore. Rapidly consuming and overriding the entire venue's infrastructure inside roiling maelstrom of gebetic hyperlogic. All coalescing around a singularity centered upon Meghan Markle continuing to helplessly trill about shared spiritual journeys, while all terrestrial vicissitudes commenced unmaking themselves behind her sightlines. An ineluctable cosmic rip tide where whole-scale realities grounding her very existence began devolving into a cosmic